Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're talking about the Xbox Tokyo Game Show. This was September, streamed yesterday. Well, you probably watching this streamed a couple days ago in 2025. And I know that, what I'm going to say is that I didn't particularly enjoy the show necessarily. I know it's focused on Asia Pacific for the studios and the partnerships that Xbox is working with, but there were some other things too that I was kind of surprised about, which I'll get into now. So, like a lot of these games we already heard about, not a lot of new stuff. And again, some of these games we've seen probably 5 or 6 times over by now, which is kind of getting a little ridiculous because at this point I would rather just have the game come out rather than so much being explored about the game. And I feel like that's kind of taking away a little bit from getting the game in your hands and being able to discover the game and its mechanics and how it plays. And we'll still have some of that, but ultimately the more you reveal, like with Mario Kart World, the less there is to really discover about the game while you're playing. And that kind of takes away from that a little bit. So I don't necessarily want a ton of these trailers or to see the same thing over and over again, or even the same trailers over and over again, because some of these showcases, they are feeling like they're kind of bloated a little bit, and they're just getting bigger and longer in some cases compared to what we had, and then there's less first party to begin with. Now I know Xbox is going to be a little different, and they did again show a few things here, which is exciting, but I feel like the showcase in a way could have been skipped. It would have been fine just leaving it at a couple of minutes, or maybe 5 minutes. A lot of it, again, we had already seen before. So we had roughly 20 games. There were also several games that had updates, and then 13 of these games we've already seen. Some of these we even saw with the last state of play that Sony just had just a few days ago. So yeah, I'm ready for some of these games to come out so we can finally move on. Some of the other things too is we had, again, a lot of release dates. This, like we also saw with the Sony State of Play, and this is good. We're finally getting some dates, nailed down, and we're finally focusing and moving forward of when to actually kind of expect these. But we're also having these areas where there's like a lot of games coming in March. There's a lot of games coming in like October, November. There's a lot of games coming, like September of next year. So it's kind of interesting how we're having these kind of like new areas of drought kind of where we used to get a good bulk of games. But hey, I'm sure we're going to have another Xbox showcase in a month, and we'll get to see some more stuff with what they present then. One thing that I did not expect was to see Forza Horizon 6. The one thing, though, that was surprising was that it's not coming to PlayStation. So it's like, okay, Xbox, are you truly ripping the Band-Aid off? Are you truly just going to be focusing on play anywhere, games anywhere, or are they still going to hold on to this timed exclusivity, which I feel like PlayStation is also doing, though they don't necessarily want to say it that way in fear of probably angering their consumer base or too much of their consumer base. But yeah, it was neat to see a teaser trailer for Forza Horizon 6. It's been a few years, but I was also surprised that we were getting it on PlayStation this year, Forza Horizon 5, but then it's not coming to 6 at launch. That is something I was totally not expecting at all. I'm kind of surprised by that. So how long is PlayStation going to have to wait? Because at least with all of the people that bought Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation, Xbox knows that it's like, okay, even if it's delayed, people are still going to show up and definitely buy the game. In fact, it was the most bought or purchased played game or pre-ordered game for that month when it was actually available just before launch. So yeah, there were a ton of people that actually bought this and paid for this. It even sold more, I think, than Spider-Man, just like Helldivers 2. So, man, Spider-Man better step it up a little bit. Something else, too, which I imagine we'll get in another future showcase in about a month, is that no Starfield, no Elder Scrolls 6, no Fable, no Halo, no Fallout remasters, nothing like that. It was very kind of, in my feeling, generic. Again, I know we're supposed to show studios from Malaysia, from Japan, from South Korea, from some other countries in the Asia Pacific. I understand that, but it was very catered that way. So technically, in my case, my bias is that, yeah, the showcase really isn't for me. And that's okay. And for some people, again, they were really excited about this, but there just wasn't a lot of stuff to it. that for me personally. The other thing was that there was less of a focus on Game Pass this time. We've had some shows where it's like Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, where like almost every single game is coming to Game Pass. But this time, it was every single game, 100% of the games shown are going to be on Play Anywhere, meaning you can buy it once and then you can play it on your mobile, you can play it on your console, you can play it on your PC, all of that stuff. So I think that's really the golden egg that Xbox is focusing on. While Game Pass they're still going to focus on, they're going to still continue to grow. They are really pushing for support for being able to play anywhere, and that library will basically go with you wherever you want to play it. The hardware won't matter, and I think that's a pretty exciting future, actually. But yeah, just less on Game Pass. I think we had 6 games out of 20. So yeah, I was a little surprised by that. Less actual games. But yeah, let's go ahead and run through the list here of stuff that we actually had. So we had Gunrave, which is going to be a remake. We had 007, Double Dragon Revive, Fatal Frame 2, which we got to see again, Animo, Sudden Strike 5. I actually wasn't expecting this. We haven't had a Sudden Strike in like 8 years. And then the time before that, it took like another decade between 3 and 4. So for Sudden Strike 5 also to be on Xbox this time, this is actually going to be the first game. Now, if you don't know Sudden Strike, that's totally okay. Not a lot of people know about it because, again, these games don't come out very, very often. But, you can think of like real-time strategy, okay, like Command and Conquer, like a type of version of Command and Conquer. There's maybe a few more little things there. There's a few more game mechanics that maybe aren't in Command and Conquer that are in Sudden Strike. But I remember playing Sudden Strike on the PC as a kid. And so the fact that it's actually going to be coming in 2026, I'm personally kind of excited about that. Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2, and then Monster Hunter Stories 3. Also, we got kind of like a Hitman update, which that was kind of interesting. We also got to see, too, the announcement for the Xbox Ally. We now know that's going to be $600 for the white and $1,000 for the black. And man, I would have thought the white would have been $700. But I was right about the black one being $1,000, and I just feel like 900 was too cheap. So with all of the RAM, the battery, the storage capacity, and then of course that specific chip, the Z2, anything unique like that is going to be expensive. And yeah, I think $1,000 actually fits it. Again, I don't want to pay $1,000, but I'm hearing too right now that the Xbox Allies, they're selling out. Even though they're at $600 and $1,000, they're actually selling out as pre-orders. So that's kind of surprising. Personally, I'm not really into handhelds, but apparently a lot of people are. So, or enough people for all of them to sell out. The actual release date is going to be October 16th. And holy smokes, the fact, yeah, they're selling out is also surprising to me. We also got to see Hotel Barcelona again. Got to actually see some gameplay and some more mechanics. Dragon Quest 1 and 2, which is like a remaster. Also, Rhythm Doctor, Romance Saga, Revenge of the Seven, Star Sand Island, Project Evil Bane, Ninja Gaiden 4, Mistfall Hunter, Winterboro, Terminal Brigade, Black Ops 7 multiplayer maps. I guess there's going to be 17 at launch, but like, why are we piecemealing what we're showing about Black Ops? About Call of Duty. Literally on the 30th, I think, we're having an entire showcase and podcast dedicated to the next Call of Duty game. Why not just wait then? They don't have to piecemeal this out here. Maybe they actually do feel a little threatened by Battlefield 6, because that's literally releasing in like a week, couple weeks. So yeah, maybe they do feel a little something there, but yeah, I'm just kind of surprised, ultimately, that we got to see some maps. Yay. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, but I don't really care about that. Open beta is going to be October 5th through the 8th, so I'm actually going to try that. We're going to see how it is. And I'm sure skill-based matchmaking won't be like it is in the game, so we'll talk about how it feels, but I'm sure that's going to be changed, roughly a month within release for Black Ops 7. And again, that's my biggest complaint with Call of Duty, is the skill-based matchmaking. It's so tight, it's so sweaty all the time. I just can't hop in and just kind of grind and play and fun and whatever. And I feel like they should have a mode that just does not have skill-based matchmaking. I think that would be great. You can just rush in there, right? I think that would be great. And then you have the skill-based matchmaking mode. and then you have ranked. That would be cool. But again, they just don't want to do that. And then finally, Forza Horizon 6, the teaser trailer that we got. And again, a lot of these games that I mentioned are coming in October, or a lot of them are coming like early 2026. So like February, March, maybe April, stuff like that. But yeah, this showcase seemed a little weak. It seemed a little quiet, a little weak for me. Just personally not that excited. I would give this kind of like a C minus. I mean, I'm basically 31 minutes into the showcase, and I'm thinking, okay, I really haven't seen anything that really has me that excited. And that's just me personally. I'm just not overly excited about this. I know there's more to the Tokyo Showcase. We got to see some stuff with OD. We got to see some stuff with Pheasant. But again, we are seeing some other stuff too that we've already seen in just already the last week with PlayStation State of Play and also with Xbox's Tokyo Game Show. So we are just constantly repeating the same stuff over and over again. And personally, I don't like that. I think it waters it down a lot. And then, too, they have to show something, right? Otherwise, it's going to be even more boring. And so then I feel like they show too much of the game sometimes. And now we have these deep dives. We already had one with 007, for example, with PlayStation. That was actually an entirely new state of play. With a type we'd never seen before from PlayStation. And yeah, they spent like 30 minutes on 007. So the fact that it's like, okay, we have these deep dives, we have these teaser trailers, we have gameplay trailers, we have story trailers, we have release date trailers, we have interview trailers for the game. And it's just like, my word, like we just keep showing the same stuff over and over again. And I feel like the reason why we have that, and I'm going to get deeper into this in the state of gaming in the future, but I think the reason that happens is because it's not enough to show the game just 2 or 3 times anymore. Ultimately, you got to show it a lot more to make sure that you actually cement it in people's mind, even if it's a negative cementing. Like, oh my word, we're seeing this again. Yes, 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 we know. We know already. I mean, how many times have we seen Star Wars Outlaws? God, we saw that game a lot. Oh my gosh. It was just a little over the top with how many times it was delayed and stuff. And then, too, with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then seeing the ads for it. I mean, I'm even seeing ads right now constantly for Borderlands 4. And it's just like, man, I'll grab the game when I'm interested, and I'll leave it at that. And apparently Borderlands 4 is pretty good, but, man, what's his face? The creator of Borderlands, just Randy Pitchford, just cannot stay out of the DMs, cannot just stay off social media, and just let people voice their complaints and then just say, yes, we're going to address that. Why can't he say that? It's just too hard for him to do, I guess. So overall, it was okay. It was an okay showcase, but there was a lot of fluff in there. Again, same with how I felt with the state of play, though I felt like that was actually a fairly solid B, maybe a B minus, thinking back on it now for PlayStations. But again, it's like, yeah, we just used to have showcases full of first-party stuff, things that were very exciting, things that were announced, but now we have too many showcases. There's too many companies that have showcases because there's Square Enix, there's THQ, there's a Future Game Show, there's indie developer game shows, there's of course Summer Game Fest and anything else with Jeff Keighley like the Game Awards, which is like 2-3 hours long. We also have the Tokyo Game Show, which there's multiple days of that. We also have all of the other stuff with Capcom, and we also have all of the stuff with Xbox several times a year, and also PlayStation several times a year. I mean, there are so many showcases, and really, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, but I think the reason why they have so many of these, and why they show the game so many times over, is because it's not enough just to show it 2 or 3 times anymore. They have to show it chronically, consistently, until literally release. Heck, I still see ads for Mario Kart World in September. Frick, are we serious? Like, I feel like there's not enough people buying. The companies see that, and so the companies are changing their behavior over the last few years. Again, just trying to get people to buy. Just to keep the game, whichever one it is, in the forefront of people's minds. But again, if people feel like they don't have the money to spend, it's not going to matter. Again, I can only spend so much a year, so can probably most of you. And that's totally okay. Okay, it's a hobby. It's entertainment. But most of us don't have like amazing channels to be able to supply everything. Maybe someday, maybe never. And but ultimately, I just want the games to be good. But I want the showcases to be refined, at least some of them. Okay, I really want them to be spectacular. I really want them to mean something because thinking of the showcases that we had with Nintendo, for example, okay, Hyrule Warriors, Metroid Prime 4, and Mario Galaxy. What else is there? It's kind of hard to think. When we take a look at PlayStation's showcase, Saros, Wolverine, Neo 3, what else is there? It was 40 minutes, folks. What else is there? It's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. You scratch your brain a little bit. With Xbox, Forza, an update to Flight Simulator. That's kind of it. I mean, we sit and we watch these showcases for a while, and there's just, I don't know, it's just hard to remember stuff. They're not memorable enough. And that's my biggest complaint with these showcases this year so far, is that the majority of them haven't been very good. Now, again, we've been eating very good on Xbox, at least with what Xbox has been putting out for the last, several showcases, even the last couple of years. So I do expect it, of course, to slow down, but we'll see what they present in October. Because again, this time, not a lot of Game Pass, not a lot of first-party stuff, not a lot of updates to really much of anything, except for, some of their partnerships that they have with studios in the Asia Pacific. And that's okay. That's okay. They should have a showcase for that, to highlight it. But another thing, too, that bothers me is that we now have content that's being made because of the Tokyo Game Show. Like the maps in some of the multiplayer maps in Black Ops 7. Is the game good? But hey, it's got maps reminiscent of Japan. I don't overly care about that. It's cool for what it is, but again, I don't overly care about that. It doesn't really affect me or affect my game with what I'm playing. And I don't want it to become a point of like, oh, we have to make stuff for the Tokyo Game Show, or we have to make stuff specifically for one thing or another, or because it's going to be on Summer Game Fest, or because it's next to GTA 6, or whatever. Okay, I want the passion to take control, and for that to be the focus of how stuff is made. And I know that's too much to ask for these big corporate AAA companies, but I just think it's kind of weird that that as well, that we're making stuff specifically or kind of artificially just because of some other condition. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always follow me over at Gaming Garbage 22. You can also follow me over at Twitch at Don't Turn On The. And if something isn't for you, we have different playlists and stuff. Poke around. That's how I organize the whole channel over there. And if something's not for you, don't sweat it. Just move on to the next thing. There's various content every week. And then also over at Twitch when I'm playing video games, I'll definitely chat with you guys. But yeah, what do you guys think of the showcases lately? How was Nintendo? How was PlayStation? How was Xbox? And what are you really most excited for? Something else, too, that isn't being mentioned a lot is the quiet moving of games, either early or delayed. And we're just, again, not getting a lot of feedback on some of that. And I think that's interesting. I think they're trying to be a little quiet about it, and they're just not saying that too much. So, and we'll see what Xbox does for October. I'll be here for it, and I'll let you guys know. And with that, folks, we'll see you guys on the next one.